Tell me about that one time. Who is that one? Who is that one chick? And it's like...
I'm sitting here with Trevor Dixon. He's an ex-Mormon.
That's right.
He has some very strong takes about religion.
Yeah.
Which we would love to hear.
Yeah, growing up Mormon is weird because...
Speak a bit louder.
Yeah, growing up Mormon is weird because like it's like a daily thing. It's so much part of life. Yeah,
Being a Mormon or stopping?
Both. Like it's so hard for me to... I mean, so far, I stopped 2.5 years ago and I didn't believe for a long time before that, but it still is like a daily part of life for me. Just like reading about, I don't know, yeah. Like I follow the ex-Mormon subreddit and like Facebook groups.
Oh wow, there's a whole community of ex-Mormons then.
Yeah, there's a big community.
Wow. And do you guys share like same feelings about the brainwash that you've been going through basically?
Yeah, people connect a lot.
Expand please, because we know nothing about it.
Yeah, I mean,
give us your story a little bit, like, you know?
I was born in Utah, which is like the Mormon headquarters, like the heart of Mormonism. Yeah, well, I mean, Mormonism started in the eastern U.S., but then they kept getting kicked out of states, and so finally they eventually went to Mexico. Well, what was Mexico back then? It's Utah now. But yeah, they just like left the U.S. so they could start their own thing. And Joseph Smith, the founder, he's such a crazy, like creative person. But yeah, his idea was like they were going to go build a Mormon kingdom out in the desert in Mexico.
Utah is a desert?
Utah's a desert, yeah.
Really? I thought it's like all mountains and green and stuff.
Yeah, it's green.
I thought it's referred to as the Switzerland of America, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, the Rocky Mountains go through it.
It's more Colorado, maybe.
Maybe so. I know there are parts of Utah that strongly identify it.
Same mountain reach?
It is, yeah. Same mountain range, yeah. The Rockies, yeah. Well, I mean, there's a town called Alpine, obviously named after...
Okay.
So the town called Alpine on the mountains over there. Yeah, and parts of it like so strongly identify with the Alps that like they've named like everything about it. So yeah, there's some connection there, some similarity. Yeah. So
you grew up in Utah?
Yeah.
Salt Lake City or?
Yeah, suburb of Salt Lake.
Okay.
And I was super Mormon. My parents were very like into it. We kept all the rules pretty well. Like there's lots of rules you can keep if you're Mormon if you want to, and we did them all. Like we didn't drink caffeine. We didn't, Mormons aren't allowed to drink coffee or tea. And if you're a good Mormon, you don't even drink caffeine ever. You don't do any caffeine. Yeah. So we were like that. We were like, we'll take it to the next level. We won't have caffeine. We kept all the rules. Like they tell you not to go on dates until you're 16.
Uh-huh.
And there was a certain type of Mormon that was like, that's a nice idea, but it's not a huge deal. But our family was more like, that's a rule. Like that's something we're going to do. So yeah, I never went on a date until I was 16. Like it's a big deal. You turn 16 and then you're allowed to go on group dates.
And you're not allowed to have sex before marriage, right?
Absolutely not, no. That's a big deal.
Are you allowed to kiss or anything?
You kiss, but not horizontal. Like that's a no-no. You don't lie down while you're kissing.
Okay.
Because then
no dry humps or anything?
Yeah, I mean it happens, but you're not supposed to, yeah.
Okay, yeah. That's like the biggest sin out there, like dry humps.
Yep.
Dry humps are like,
get
you to hell, basically.
Exactly, yeah. No, sex is the second worst sin, according to Mormonism. Behind murder. Murder is the worst, and then illicit sex is the second worst, yeah. Illicit meaning...
We're all going to hell then.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure, yeah. No, Mormons think that the world is screwed up. I mean, I guess it kind of is.
Okay, so you grew up as a Mormon, you got married at a very young age, right?
Yeah, early 20s, we got married, yeah. So I did my Mormon mission when I was 19.
We don't know what it means.
Mormons, when you're 19, the boys at 19. Well, when I was doing it was 19. Now it's 18. But you go for 2 years to some other part of the world.
Really?
Yeah.
Where did you go?
I went to Hawaii.
What?
Yeah.
Didn't know about that.
Yeah, it was cool.
And what are you supposed to do there? Are you supposed to convert as many people as you can into Mormonism?
Yeah, you sell the religion.
Like Jehovah's Witness?
Exactly, yeah.
This is you?
Yeah.
You guys are Jehovah's Witnesses?
I mean, no. Mormons are not Jehovah's Witnesses, but we saw them all the time. They were like our rivals on the street.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we would see them and it's like, we'd nod and acknowledge each other.
Oh, okay.
It was like kind of competitive.
You guys fight and stuff, like football hooligans and shit?
No.
No, none of that, no.
No, you try not to insult the religion for a couple of years. It's like the door-to-door thing, or you go to a bus stop. We'd spend a lot of time at bus stops, just like, flagging people down and giving them cards. Like, and the approach is like, you be as nice as you can be. You just try to like kill them with kindness, so so
they can't refuse you.
Yeah. I mean, it's similar to what you do in sales.
Did you actually get people into Mormonism?
A little bit. Most of the people we actually baptized, like converted, were people who had connections to the church already. Uh-huh. Like a family who hadn't gone in years, and so they had a son who was like 12 and hadn't been baptized. And they were like, we got to get our lives together, so, teach our son. So that was most of the work we did. But we'd also occasionally find somebody on the street willing to listen So then we'd go to their house and teach them a few lessons. Most of those didn't go very far. You'd talk to them a couple times and they'd be like, this is weird. And so.
Okay. So how old were you when you got married?
22.
And you're 30-year-old right now?
Yeah.
You have three children already?
Yeah.
At what point did you decide, okay, this is enough for me, and why?
I moved to Switzerland 2.5 years ago. I finally quit. And I had like stopped believing mostly for like many years before that, but my wife was still super in it. Mm-hmm. So I thought I'd be Mormon forever. I thought I would just sort of like try to figure it out, like be the kind of Mormon who, and there's a lot of material now. It's a very common thing. Like, atheism is spreading throughout the world, and it's the same in Mormonism. So there's this idea that like you can be Mormon and not be sure that God exists. And so when I found that idea, it's not like an official idea, but there are people within the church who put this stuff online. So that was really comforting to me. I was like, yeah, maybe I don't have to know God is real to be a good Mormon. I can live as if it's true, and hopefully it is. Hopefully it pays off. It's a nice way to live.
At what point did you declare, okay, I'm not a Mormon anymore, I'm out?
When we got to Switzerland. Christy.
Why did you move to Switzerland?
For work and adventure.
You got a job at Google here, right?
Yeah. Well, I'd been working for Google in California and then Paris.
Wow.
And so we were doing the Mormon...
I know Google is in Paris too.
Yeah, they've got an office there. Yeah. Cool. So, but we were doing the Mormon devout thing in all of those places. And when I was a teenager, I stopped. Like that was, I still believed, I guess, kind of. I tried to believe. But like that was the first time I learned about the problems with the religion. And like most people...
What is the problem with the religion?
So the thing that got me when I was 16 is there's a book of Mormonism called the Book of Abraham.
Okay.
And Joseph translated this book. This traveling like Egyptian show came through the town. They had real mummies and scrolls, papyrus scrolls from Egypt, and they were kind of like touring the U.S. This is 1830-ish.
Wow.
So Joseph raised a bunch of money and bought one of the mummies and the accompanying scrolls from some guy who was coming through town. So he bought it. So Joseph owned a mummy and some scrolls, and he said these scrolls were written by Abraham when he was living in Egypt. This is huge. This is the writings of Abraham, the biblical Abraham.
Is it real?
I mean, the scrolls were real.
Wow.
But the translation turned out to be bogus, which is what I learned when I was 16. I heard this panel of people talking on the radio about the problems with the Book of Abraham, and I had never heard of this before. It turned now people can translate Egyptian. Back then...
Oh, it was written in ancient Egyptian?
Yeah, it was written in Egyptian,
wow.
yeah. And back in Joseph's day, nobody could translate Egyptian. And so Joseph said, I can, through the power of God.
Of course.
This is what it says. And he wrote out this Book of Abraham, which is, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of cool. It's, Abraham's talking about the stars and the cosmos and the universe and why we're the children of God. So it's kind of cool. It's well written. It's one of the more interesting parts of Mormon scripture.
But it's a lie.
But it's ridiculous. Yeah, like now they can translate. We still have the scrolls, or a part of the scrolls that Joseph had. And now Egyptologists can translate it and tell you what it says, and it has nothing to do with Abraham. It's a very common thing. It's nothing. And so to me, that was like a big... It
was like a shot to your heart.
Yeah, and it blew my mind, and it just rocked my world. And I was like, oh, this looks really bad for Mormonism.
Yeah.
So as a 16-year-old, that really shook me, and I somehow managed to forget about it. Like, it was so traumatic that I did that disassociative thing where you try to like suppress the memory and not think about it.
Wow.
And so, yeah.
The brainwash is crazy.
Yeah, it really is.
You don't want to believe that everything you've been raised to believe is a lie.
Exactly, yeah. It's just earth-shattering. So I did that. I suppressed it. I did my Mormon mission. And the mission was fun, but it was hard on my devotion to Christianity. Mormonism is like a flavor of Christianity, and I got less Christian as a missionary. I was like near the beginning of my mission, I was like, I got to figure it out, and so I started doing the reading of scriptures and studying and asking people, and I was like, why? One of the first questions I had was, why did Jesus have to die for people's sins? If I was God and I was arranging this whole thing and putting people on earth to learn lessons and make mistakes, I would just forgive them for. I wouldn't and that's part of the gospel, of course. It's like forgiveness is a big deal, but it's only possible because Jesus paid for the sins. And I was like, why don't we just cut out the Jesus paying for sins part and just actually forgive and not punish someone?
Wow.
And I never
that's
got
a very
answer.
compassionate. It's a very compassionate thought.
Yeah.
You obviously have a very good heart, and that doesn't align with your core beliefs. Buddhism, for instance, believes in releasing all creatures from suffering.
Yep.
So why do we have to make someone suffer?
Right, yeah. It seemed like such an arbitrary thing. Like why can't God just actually forgive without punishing somebody? And the answer I got was like, basically the answer is we don't know. It's just like some cosmic law. And like that's good enough for a lot of people. But for me, it ate away at me. I was like, it just doesn't make sense. Like if I was God, if I was a father, I would just, let people make their mistakes and forgive without punishing somebody in your place. So yeah, like that was hard on my Christian devotion.
Wow.
And then when I got back from my mission, I was back on the internet, because you don't do internet at all while you're a missionary. Totally cut off from the internet. I think it's a little different nowadays, but when I did it 10 years ago, no internet. You don't even call home. You don't talk to your family except for twice a year. So you can focus on your mission.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's intense.
It is intense. It was hard on a lot of people. In fact, it's slightly traumatic. Like I still occasionally have dreams. I'm a missionary.
Wow.
And I'm like kind of panicking. I'm like, it feels like it's going to be forever. I remember on my mission, having these moments. I was like, this is so long. Like how long? Yeah, anyway.
I've been knowing you for I think 2 years now maybe. And this completely changed, I don't want to say everything I feel about you, but only for the better. I mean, because you've been through some hard things,
Yeah, it's a little hard. I mean,
and seeing the way you are as a person nowadays, kind of forgiving this lie that you've been brought into, it's a big thing, Because you're not hating, I don't think, do you hate on Mormonism? Do you hate on the culture that you've been?
Parts of it, yeah. I mean, I think they did me wrong in certain ways, but...
But I feel like, I don't know many Mormons, but the ones I do know, I mean, you and Christy, you're great people overall,
Yeah.
You're not raised into like a violent culture, you're not raised into hate or anything like that.
No.
It's a very, peaceful brainwash, I would call it.
As far as cults go, it's not the worst one to do. Yeah.
It's not the worst, exactly.
Yeah.
Like some people are raised into way worse cults or way worse.
Right. So I'm very grateful for that. Like, yeah, I had a good family. My parents were kind people. They, like, the good parts of the religion, teach parents to be really good to their kids, because family is eternal. You're going to be with these people forever. You need to make really good relationships now.
And I think that kind of translates to the way you are with your children.
I think so, yeah.
I think you're a great father.
Yeah.
It's kind of lovely. I think anyone sees it from the side, and seeing the way you are with your children is, really inspiring.
Yeah.
And I think you kind of took the good things out of Mormonism and brought it into your more secular lifestyle.
Yeah. Well, thank you. That's nice.
Like you can keep respectful without teaching any lies and without following any crazy gospels, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, no, Mormonism is not all bad, of course, but it's built on a foundation of lies, I think. I think Joseph Smith.
Who was Joseph again? So he was what year was it we're talking?
1820, 1830, around this period, yeah.
Where did they come from mainly? These people, like UK or?
No, these were Americans. It was started in America.
They were already Americans by that time. But you cannot trace their roots to say, okay, they were mainly German or mainly Swedes or mainly Swiss.
No, I don't know what they were. I don't know what Joseph was. I mean, a lot of the early Mormons were...
You're ethnically quite Scandinavian, aren't you?
I'm Danish and English, yeah.
Okay.
And my ancestors joined the church in Europe and then migrated to the U.S. to be part of Mormonism.
Okay.
Yeah. But Joseph Smith, yeah, he was he's a really fascinating kid. They grew up super poor as farmers. And as a teenager, he got into this like this folk magic treasure digging thing. So he had this gig as a teenager where he'd go out with people and help them find treasure. He had this gift where he could go, say treasure is buried here, and they would dig, and he'd say, oh no, the guardian angel is digging it deeper. We didn't do the ritual properly, and so it's this.
And that's how we got Bitcoin miners nowadays.
Exactly, it's very similar. Yeah. So he had this gig as like a treasure digger. And he did it as a teenager. He was good at it, meaning I think that means he put on a good show. Like it was an entertaining experience. It was a good experience for the people that did it. But he ran into trouble because, a lot of people knew it was bullshit. And so at some point he went to court as a teenager, and they were accusing him of fraud and stuff. And so as far as I understand...
He was very charismatic,
very
scammer.
Charismatic, exactly, yeah. He was kind of a very charismatic scammer, and he was... talented and a good improviser and good with people and just cool and charming. But yeah, so he ran into some trouble with the law, and I think that kind of scared him straight. And he was like, okay, I got to get out of this. I'm going to be a farmer. I'm going to be a good farmer. This is the way to go, like clean living. I'll get married. I'll start a farm. So he got married. And I mean, the theory, some people's theory, and I kind of ascribe to this, is that he just got bored as a farmer. Like it just like was driving him crazy. He's like, I can't farm the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And he was just too creative and too interesting a person to do that. So he did the Book of Mormon thing, and I don't think he started it to be religious. It was sort of like, it was a money-making opportunity. It was kind of a cool fictional thing, but then it kind of took on a life of its own, and he ended up turning it into a religion and kind of believing his own myth. And anyway, yeah. So yeah, it's a crazy founding story. They should do a movie, like an HBO or a Netflix thing about Joseph Smith someday. It would be so cool. Let's
write it.
Well, yes, okay.
You can write it.
I'll do my best, yeah.